And we're going to go over some basic safety topics that cover a lot of issues and concerns that you as engineering students and hopefully one of these professional engineers will have to deal with in some form or other. Whether you go into mechanical, structural, chemical, civil, doesn't matter. All these things will apply to what you're eventually going to develop as your career. We'll kind of go over these things. Here, I'll let you read the slides as I go along. If you have questions, please ask. Basically, safety things are divided up into personal protective equipment and general protective equipment. Personal protective equipment is anything you put on or give to your potential employees to protect them on the job. Make sense? Called personal. You kind of glance through the list. This is not an all-inclusive list by any stretch of the imagination. Most of the time, people pick personal protective equipment based on the requirements of the job. You may have some work that you don't need hard hats for. If you're working down here in the strength lab, you'll need to wear a hard hat because things can fall and hit you on the head. That's why you wear a hard hat. Eye hazards come in all sorts of shapes and forms. Have you ever cut grass? Okay. Do you throw things out, or does everything stay inside the frame of the lawnmower? Stuff goes all over the place, right? How many of you wore eye protection when you did that? Ever use a weed eater? You may be in charge one of the days of a crew out doing groundskeeping. That's something you need to be concerned with, is eye protection for flying stuff. You're down, we working in the strength lab down here testing material. If something breaks, who's to say something won't shatter when it breaks? Debris flies all over the place. You're set up for an eye injury if you're not adequately protected. You use chemicals down there. Chemical engineers use a lot of chemicals, for instance. Heat, stress, it's warm in here. We have to worry about heat conditions. I wish I had a mechanical or remote mic, mouse. The basic types of eye protection is safety glasses, safety goggles, and face shields. Each will be determined by what you're exposed to. For most intents and purposes, safety glasses will suffice. Now, if you're in a chemical lab on main campus, you'll probably have to wear chemical goggles, correct? Who's had chemistry here? Okay, do they have you wear chemical goggles when you're having chemicals? Okay, that's to keep stuff from going inside the glasses. The glasses protect you from direct hits. The goggles take care of the angle hits. Sometimes, if you're handling other bulk quantities of chemicals, you might need a face shield. I was in a lab a couple weeks ago testing some hoods, and a young lady was doing an experiment with liquid nitrogen. She took some of a flask of liquid nitrogen, poured it into a small tube to do her reaction in the hood. She didn't have anything in the way of eye protection. So after she got sort of at a stopping point, I asked her why she didn't have at least safety glasses. Her answer was, "Oh, I'm sorry, my fault." Not the kind of answer I would have liked to have seen or should have heard. So in that situation, we had to get a face shield plus the goggles to take care of any splash that might have hit her in the face and frozen her skin. If you have to wear prescription eyeglasses, like me and some of you all in here do, that prescription needs to be incorporated in safety eyewear that you provide your employees, or we provide for employees on campus. And that's the employer's expense, to provide that protection. If you look on the OSHA website and do a little research on the most commonly reported injuries, and you narrow that down to eye injuries, you'll see this is the most commonly cited, or these are the most commonly cited eye hazards across the country. Flying chips, wood, metal, plastics, those sorts of things. So it pays to wear and provide eye protection. And I'm sure when you're working down here, you'll be required to wear eye protection. Correct? Yes. Okay. Medical hazards? Why would I put that up there? Include that as an eye hazard. We do a lot of research on campus with biological agents. A lot of people on campus have all sorts of mean, nasty things that they're working with. Splash some of those agents in your eye, you can get an infection, whatever that agent might be. That's a route of exposure to develop an illness from that pathogen or agent. So, eye protection is probably a good requirement. To me, as a professional industrial hygienist, this is a bit of a bothersome statistic. How could this be reduced? By making sure that people who are exposed to eye hazards do what?
Have eye protection.
Have eye protection. Simple solution. Very simple solution. Any of y'all ever had the thrill of splashing super glue in your eye? I did one time, and I tell you, it's not fun. Totally accidental, and I had my glasses on. It bounced off my cheek, it hit my eye. It was not pleasant. So I can speak to this. People should wear goggles if they're handling chemicals. The safety glasses will not protect you completely. But then again, you have to know what you're dealing with, what you're working with, what your job requirements have for you to do. Most people won't wear eye protection. Like that young lady who was handling the liquid nitrogen. The answer, oh, I'm sorry, my fault, is not the right answer. Oop. The basic standard that drives this eye protection question is OSHA 1910-133. That comes under the section in the standards dealing with personal protective equipment. If you're going to be a project manager or whatever, general contractor, you should be familiar with this standard in that whole section. If there's a risk, you have to provide some sort of protective equipment in the form of eye protection. Glasses, goggles, face shield. Okay? What do I mean by overwear? Anybody ever seen these bigger plastic sunglasses that fit over regular glasses? That's what we mean by overwear. So that can't disturb somebody's prescription lenses, because what could happen if you disturb somebody's prescription glass provision? Give me an answer. What do you think? They can't see, or their vision be distorted, and that presents another safety risk, doesn't it? Okay? All these things kind of have a domino effect. Don't walk into a lab and say, oops, I got to have my eyeglasses on, then put them in, because it might be too late. Standard lab procedure on campus is you have this protection before you enter a lab. When I or one of the folks on my staff go into a lab to check a hood, an eye wash, safety shower, do other sorts of things, we first look in there to see what the people who are working in the lab are equipped with, and we follow their lead.